It seems as though the French have yet to fully grasp the gravity of the situation. Take yesterday, for example. Parks and public gardens were packed with people, families out and about enjoying the sunny weather, grandparents taking their grandchildren out. People went to food markets as well across the town. And that was precisely what the French government had asked them not to do. But there might have been some confusion following what many here perceived as contradictory measures adopted by the French government so far. The French president saying that it was safe to go vote on Sunday in local elections, and then the prime minister saying it was not safe to go out to have dinner at a restaurant, for example. Bars and restaurants are to remain closed for the foreseeable future. Those elections went relatively well. But health authorities, including quite a few doctors on primetime TV yesterday, criticizing the French government for risking people's health like that, saying that those sanitizers, hand sanitizers and masks that were deployed in polling stations across the country should have instead been allocated to those on the front lines of this fight against the coronavirus. Of course, doctors, medical personnel. Now there are rumors that the French government could indeed impose that curfew, could indeed put the country into a full lockdown, but that information is absolutely not confirmed as we speak. I spoke to one minister late last night who told me that that is absolutely not the case as of yet. That decision has not been made as of yet, but he said that things were moving, quote unquote, very fast. I guess the message right now from French authorities is still don't panic, but don't go picnicking either.
Well, as you can see, very few people on the streets. I'm at a Atocha train station. Normally you would have thousands of commuters coming out of this train station. Let's remember that shops are closed and only supermarkets are and pharmacies are open, and most of the workers are working remotely. The police is going around and patrolling the streets, making sure that people keep the social distance, and only those who necessarily need to be on the streets are actually here. Spaniards are becoming finally really serious about COVID-19 and very worried about the situation as the number of cases and deaths escalate here. Every night we have seen Spaniards coming out on their balconies to clap and cheer to the health workers that are doing an extraordinary job in an overwhelmed healthcare system in Spain. And it's also time to stay at home. Sometimes watching TV, streaming services like Netflix are really now one of the main things that people are doing on their homes, and also make some phone calls to the relatives, to the family, to check how they are doing, and also, you know, to fill up this social life that they used to have in public spaces. And the communication companies are actually asking the public to use the networks wisely, use streaming services not at working hours, because a lot of people is working remotely, and they're using also streaming services, a lot of phone calls, etc., and the network could be overloaded. But one of the also big concerns here is what is going to happen with the economy. The country is effectively in a lockdown, and for example, car factories like Nissan and Seat are actually going to stop, and they are ready to lay off up to 8,000 workers. The government is tomorrow, Tuesday, going to pass some new economic measures and economic vaccine to deal with COVID-19 economic crisis.
Well, that is the big question. Is the UK government now pursuing the right strategy? It's very different here to the rest of Europe. People are getting up, they're going to work, they're taking their children to school everything is staying open. Now, things are noticeably quieter. If you go to many of the sort of tourist hotspots in London, they are very quiet. And this morning, you know, there are planes in the sky coming in to land here, but we know that one by one the airlines are starting to shut down their routes, and all UK citizens need to get back from the US before midnight tonight. So everyone here is trying to prepare. Sadly, we did see some scenes in supermarkets over the weekend that did turn ugly because of that panic buying, but the supermarkets are trying to reassure people that they're all getting rid of their normal competitiveness. They're going to work together, and they say there is enough food for everyone. They just need to make sure that people aren't overbuying and causing more problems. So Britain very much trying to keep calm and carry on, but there is a nervousness here as to why the UK is pursuing a somewhat different strategy to the rest of Europe at the moment. Well, I think we've already seen a change overnight, Rosie, because there was heavy criticism of the government over the weekend for its communication strategy. One of the journalists that's in the lobby, the group that I'm in of political journalists, was briefed anonymously by some government official or government member outlining the plans because they seemed to be worried that the government wasn't communicating effectively. So things like forcing requisition of private hospital beds, using hotels as hospitals at some point, closures of facilities, getting older people to quarantine themselves for 4 months. These are all the things that started to leak out over the weekend. And so last night, the government had to come out and announce that they will be doing daily on-camera press conferences with either the Prime Minister or a senior minister going from today, and that there will be new plans unveiled. But there was also a leak last night of a government document saying that coronavirus could last until the spring of 2021 and could see 7.9 million people hospitalised. The UK has had questions over the funding of the National Health Service for many years now, and many people wondering whether or not it is prepared to deal with that much usage. But the government, at least this morning, deciding to step up their communications approach after there has been, I've got to say, just a lot of confusion. Friends, family texting all weekend to me thinking that because you're a journalist you might have something of the inside track, and I can tell you that there's a lot of confusion here in the UK, especially when the rest of Europe doing such a different thing to us who are just simply carrying on, going to work, going to school.